Alright guys, so with Robert Helenius vacating the European heavyweight title, it looks like Kubrat Pulev and Dereck Chisora are going to be fighting for the vacant title over in Germany. This is a very interesting fight. I tell you, this is a fight that really intrigues me, and I'll explain why. So to sum it up, if this was Kubrat Pulev before the Klitschko fight, I would take him to beat Chisora, hands down. I would have no doubts about it. I think he would outbox Chisora behind the jab, and I think he would win comfortably on points. However, since getting devastatingly knocked out by Klitschko, to me Pulev has not looked the same. He took some time off. He came back and he fought George Arias, who's a journeyman from Brazil, I believe. Looked absolutely awful. I think when I watched it, it went to points, that fight, but he just looked absolutely awful. I mean, Pulev looked. You know how certain fighters, after they've been knocked out, and then they're never the same in fights. They're always scared of getting hit. They're holding on, and they just look so timid. That's exactly how Pulev was in that fight. He just looked scared to death of engaging in the fight. He looked worried about getting hit. And you could just see it in his eyes. You could see it in his whole body language. His whole demeanour changed. Like, his whole demeanour since the Klitschko fight has completely changed. To the point where he's a completely different fighter. And that's why I feel that going into this fight, although I do think that Pulev has more talent than Chisora, I'm not sure whether Pulev is mentally ready for this kind of fight. Because the thing about Dereck Chisora is one of these fighters who throws some very wide hooks. And if he's able to catch Pulev with one of those big swinging wide hooks that's got all his weight behind it, I don't know how Pulev's going to react. And if Pulev reacts badly, like if he reacts hurt, if he reacts scared, a fighter like Dereck Chisora will be all over him. Okay, Dereck Chisora will be in his ass the whole fight, coming forward and really looking for openings and really trying to hurt Pulev. And to handle that kind of aggression, that kind of pressure, a fighter like Pulev is going to have to be the old Pulev. He's going to have to be confident. He's going to have to be focused and determined, and he's going to have to really get that jab going. You know, to win this fight, Pulev, he's going to have to hold the center of the ring. He's going to have to box. He's going to have to use that excellent jab, and he's going to have to get Chisora's respect. He's going to have to hurt Chisora early on, because if he doesn't hurt Chisora early on, Chisora's just going to grow in confidence, and he's just going to walk him down. So that's my thoughts about this fight. I think it's very intriguing. It's very interesting, because although Dereck Chisora has been knocked out before, and although Dereck Chisora has been in some pretty tough fights and he's been stopped a couple of times, Dereck Chisora has never seemed to lose confidence. You know, he's an extremely confident fighter, a guy with a good chin. He's very strong, believes in himself, and believe you me, he's coming into this fight very determined, full of confidence. His last few fights, and I know they were against journeymen, but you know that they're confidence builder fights. He's been getting some impressive knockouts. He's been looking pretty sharp and in pretty decent shape. And I believe he left his trainer Don Charles, who I never rated as a trainer. I'm not sure who he's with now, but seems to be doing a lot better. He seems to be on the back foot a little bit more. He seems to be using feints and only coming forward when he needs to come forward. Whereas with Don Charles, he was just coming forward exclusively, and he was walking into punches, and you know he was showing good stamina and good pressure, but he just wasn't. You know, he was too predictable. You could see what he was doing. He was telegraphing his punches. So I think with his new trainer, he's looking slightly better. Now, for Dereck Chisora to win this fight, what kind of approach does he need to take in this fight? Well, for starters, he needs to hit Pulev early. Like, I'm talking the first, second, third round. He needs to come forward and he needs to hit hard. He needs to put the pressure on Pulev. Because if this fight takes place on the outside, if he tries to outbox Pulev behind a jab, it's not going to work. Because, as I mentioned earlier in the video, Kubrat Pulev has one of the most effective jabs in boxing. Now, that's why it's very difficult to predict this kind of fight, because with David Price, for example, when he went in against Tony Thompson, he had so much momentum. He was knocking everybody out. He was looking brilliant. Then he got knocked out, and he was never the same. In every single fight in the future, he was just so timid, and you know, he could never reach his potential anymore because he always had that worry. You could just look at him and you knew he had that vulnerability about him. And I see that same thing with Kubrat Pulev. I see that same vulnerability, and I just think that Kubrat Pulev, I don't know if he'll ever be the same. I'll reserve judgment for this fight because I'm not actually going to predict this fight. These are just my thoughts. The fight intrigues me. I think it's definitely a significant fight for the heavyweight division. I would like to see the winner of this fight face off against the winner of the Robert Helenius Johan Dupar fight, which is another interesting fight, which I'm planning on making a video for. However, I don't think that'll happen because Robert Helenius vacated the title because he didn't want to fight either of these guys, so I don't see that happening. You know, the heavyweight division is buzzing right now. You know, there's tons of paper champions. You've got Tyson Fury apparently going to have the rematch with Klitschko. I'm skeptical as to whether that rematch actually happens because, to be honest, I don't think Klitschko wants a rematch. I think he did want the rematch, but Klitschko turns 40 years old in a few days, and I think it's time for him to retire. I don't think he's ever going to reach the potential that he used to have. I don't think he's got the youth or the time to really prepare for Tyson Fury. I honestly don't. You know, Klitschko's 40 years old and he's been doing what he does for so long. He's been fighting the way that he fights for so long. He's been doing what works for him. And he made all the necessary changes early on in his career. You know, I'll make a separate video on Klitschko versus Fury. I'm gonna make another video later today talking about why I don't think that Klitschko should take the rematch, and I think that it's within his best interest to retire. But that's a whole nother video. Back to Pulev versus Chisora. As I said earlier in the video, guys, I just don't know. I can't predict this one because unless Kubrat Pulev can get that confidence back, then he's going to be unpredictable in this fight. Okay, he's going to be very unpredictable how he's going to react to getting hit and how he's going to react to taking pressure. And for Dereck Chisora, again, it's going to be unpredictable for him because we don't know what approach he's going to bring to this fight. You know, is he going to try and out-finesse Kubrat Pulev? Is he going to try and outbox him? I don't see him being able to do that. Personally, I just think that Chisora, you know, he's going to bring a pressure game plan to this fight. He's going to try and pressure Kubrat Pulev, and that's why I'm slightly leaning towards Chisora for the win here. I've just got a feeling, you know, I've just got a feeling that if he really gets in there and if he starts winging those hooks and if he starts cutting off the ring like he does, I just, you know, just coming forward and really pushing him backwards, I just can't see Kubrat Pulev reacting very well to that. I could be wrong. Perhaps Kubrat Pulev has exercised those demons and perhaps he's back to his old self. I know he did knock out an opponent in the first round in his last fight. It was Morris Harris, a total journeyman. You know, Pulev just threw one body shot and the fight was over. The fight really doesn't tell us anything, but perhaps the fight gave him confidence. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, this fight intrigues me. I'm not going to predict the fight because I don't know who's going to win the fight. It's just a fight that I'm really looking forward to. I'm buzzing to see this fight because I love fights like this. I like fights where I don't know who's going to win and it's intriguing. That this is what boxing needs, and the heavyweight division has a lot of these matchups right now. So yeah, I'm going to make my thoughts on the Fury-Klitschko rematch soon, probably later today, and sometime in the near future I'm going to make a video on the Robert Helenius Johan Dupar fight because I think that's another very interesting fight. So anyway, thanks for stopping by, guys. Let me know what you guys think. See you later. Bye.